Hello, and welcome to Edupedia World. Now I want to give you guys an overview of the different layers that we can work with in After Effects. So first we want to create a composition, and that's very simple. You can just right click, new composition, or you can go and click this button, which is the create a new composition button. And we can call this tutorial. And then we can set our resolution. We have some different presets. I don't use those, so I'll just make this full HD and then pick 24 frames per second. And it's good to set it to square pixels right here. And then we can just say OK. So here's our composition. There's nothing in it, and in our composition viewer, whatever you call it, you can see there is nothing. It's just pure black, and that's because there's nothing in our composition. So if you want to just add an element, you just right click and say I want to add a new whatever. I want to add a new text layer. I want to add a new solid light. You use lights when you work with 3D, and we won't do that right now. You can add a camera, that's also for 3D. Null objects, they are for tracking and other stuff. We won't use those right now. And there's also shape layers and adjustment layers, and then Photoshop file, that's just to import a Photoshop file. And then a Max and Cinema 4D file, that's for 3D as well. Now let's just create a quick text layer. So just click here, and you can see the cursor comes up. So let's just write something. Tutorial. Now when you're done writing, you can just go up here and press this button, or you can do Control Enter, and that will do the same. So press V to get your pick tool, and you can just move this around. You can you can drag the corner here and change the size. And also, if you go over to these or to this character panel, this pops up by itself when you are working with text. You can change the font. Let's just find something that we like. Let's say this one looks cool. We can control the size, and let's actually just make a new line and then say type 2 for every tutorial for everyone. Boom. That should not be capital. So then this is the height between the lines. So if we just take the number and drag, I'm just clicking on the number and dragging. We can change the line height. We can also change the width between the letters. So we can really customize, make it really small with a large space between. And then we can also try and adding a stroke. So here's the stroke width, and right now it's set to none. So if you just turn this up, then you can see, since our stroke color here is set to black, it like blends in with the background. But if we set it to white, then we can see when we change this, you're essentially changing the stroke width. You can also change the height of the letters. Just try playing around with this. This changes the width, and I haven't actually tried this option yet. What is it called? I do not know what this is. A cool thing you can do is these options down here. So you can this is small caps, so it will make it all caps, but then only the first letter or the letters that were caps will be large, and then the others will be small caps. And this is a very stylized, pretty nice look. And if you want to change the color, now it's gray. If you want to change that, you can go over here, just double click this, or actually don't only need to click it once, and then you can just pick a color. Let's say this looks alright. Press OK, and there we are. Now let's take a look at a new layer. So we'll just right click and say new, and then pick a solid. And here you get some different options, a bit like when you create the composition. And then just name this our first solid. First solid ever. Boom. Here you also get the options for the size. So if we want a solid that fills the whole screen, then we will set it to the same dimensions as our composition, which is HD. But if you only want a small box, then we will make this small. I'll show that in a bit. You can also change the color, and let's just try and hit OK. Bam. It has created a white solid that is the dimensions of our screen. And again, you get the same options. You can drag the corners and change the like the dimensions, so it's not the same dimensions. If you hold Shift, it will keep the same aspect ratio. And yeah, if you do this, then it gets off its aspect ratio. You can move it around. But let's say we just want a small solid, then we'll just right click, new solid, or the shortcut is Control Y, and then call the small solid. And of course the name, you can also change the names down here. And then we'll make this like 500 by 500. And let's make it another color. Blue. Okay. And here we go. This is 500 by 500. And again, you can move it around and do all sorts of stuff. But let's say, no, I am so sad I picked the wrong color. Well, you don't have to make a new one. You can just highlight the layer and then go up to layer and solid settings, and you can even see the shortcut. So Control Shift Y, just press that and you'll get the same options. So let's say, oh, I want it to be wider. Well, you can do that. And I want to change the color because I like green more. So okay. And again, now this is not a small solid, it's actually quite large. So let's change the name. So you just highlight it, hit enter, and then a kinda large solid. Bam, and there we go. And now you also see something. We can't see our text anymore, and you can see this green solid is on top of the white solid. But what if we want our text to be on top? Then we will have to look at our layer stack down here. So you can see the text is on the bottom, and the way you can see that is by these numbers. So this represents what order they will be shown. So this will be the bottom of our stack. It's like stacking a bunch of paper. This is what's on the bottom, this is in the middle, and this is on the top. But if we want our text to be on the top, then we'll just have to drag it onto the top. So text on the bottom, highlight it, and then click and drag to the top. And there we go. Our text is now on the top. Let's say we want this to be like a background for our text, so we can just do this. And there we go. We got an awful looking design. So, but well, we got somewhere. Let's say we now want to try and draw something. Well, you got some different options. And probably the easiest one is just right clicking and then saying, okay, I want a new shape layer. And this will just give you a weird blue layer called shape layer. And some options up here will be ready. So you can see right now we have the rectangle tool. If you click and hold, then you can see we also got rounded rectangle, ellipse, polygon, and star tool. To the right we also have our pen tool, and this is used to just draw stuff. Now let's just pick our rectangle tool again, and you can see the shortcut is Q. So if we go in here and just click and drag, then we will get a rectangle. Up here in the top we can see we have some options. So the fill is set to white. Let's just change that to this red color. And then the stroke, which is the border, is set to white. Let's just make that yellow. And we can also change the width of the border. And now I think you get the idea. I just press V right now to get out my selection tool. We have now created a box with a border, and well, let's just try and put this so it's below the green layer. We've now made an even more awful looking design, but this is just to prove a point that you can create shapes. But this is just a boring box. Let's say we want a rectangle or a star. So we wanted to create a new shape layer, and then click and hold and take a star tool. So there we go. We want a blue star. Oh, sorry, of course stars are yellow. So there we go. Let's just move this behind here, and still looks very bad, but I think we're getting somewhere. So a tutorial for everyone with a green background, and then a shape layer with a yellow border and a yellow star, and this is our solid. Now let's take a look at how we can draw out a shape, and of course we will just quickly have to name these shape layers so we know what we're working with. So this is our star, and this is our red box with yellow border. Bam. So now we just want to create a new shape layer, and we will try using another tool. So we will click this pen tool, or you can just press G. And now you can create something called a Bezier Spline. It's not that hard. The name is pretty hard to say, but you just click and drag, and then you can create these vector shapes. So this is vector, that means it's infinite resolution, because it's made by expressions. So you can see we can move these around, and there are these handles that you can pick and move around. So you can see, depending on the length, you can change the curvature of your object, and also the rotation. You can also change the curvature. I don't want this to be yellow, so let's just make it blue, and yellow and blue, I don't like those two colors together, so let's just make it a different shade of blue. Bam! Press V and we can move it in some different place. Let's put it above the star and call it blue blob. This is just a blue blob. And there we go. I've now created a star with a blue blob, a solid, and a sign that says tutorial for everyone. Thank you for watching Edupedia World. Stay tuned for more videos.